like I don't know, like it's a such a unique kind of experience that I've only had a couple times. Like I try not to
Yeah,
do
it's
super
very
big doses
powerful.
all the time, but like when you have that kind of realization that like what you're seeing and experiencing and hearing just isn't real, like that's just like it, you know, like sometimes I think about it just like generally walking around. I'm like, what if I'm like not actually here right now and I'm just thinking I'm here? Sometimes, but when I'm not on drugs, I'm just, just enjoying kind of a nice walk thinking about the universe, right? But
Yeah.
like, it's a way that it's like a new experience. You can see the rest of the world through that kind of like lens. And I feel like it's super interesting. I feel like it's something that again should be an option in society. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And yeah, it's just I mean there's so much research, so much data, so many studies on this now that it's clear it helps a lot of people. I have a question though. Do you think this is it's all in our heads, or do you think that we're sort of tapping into like I don't know, the energy that is the universe and we're kind of
Oh, we're getting deep. Okay.
yeah, that we're
All
becoming
right.
more aware of that energy because look, I have my own beliefs. I don't talk about this very often because I think people get weird about this stuff,
Oh
especially if
no,
you haven't had this
I love
experience.
this shit. I love big brain talk. Let's go. High
But
level
like
ideas.
I I honestly don't think it's just like in our heads. I think we like and it's not that it's like this is religious or even spiritual or whatever, but it's reality. We know what the world is made of, matter and like it's science, it's data. All of what I believe is based in that, but we're just accessing it in a way that we haven't accessed it before. And I think, there are certain animals and, bugs and stuff that can see or smell things that we can't. It's almost like that, where we're just having a different experience than our usual experience because we are sort of disembodied from our meat body that that only has, limited senses. We are
Sure.
sort of outside of that, experiencing this energy that is around us, that we are a part of. We're
Yeah,
experiencing that
that's
on a different
why
level.
I like to like I've had like I sometimes, if I'm doing a psychedelic with like someone like a friend or family or whatever, and we're just sitting around and talking, I love to have these conversations, right? And this is why I like to think of like, when you do a psychedelic experience, like you kind of enter a different dimension, right? It's like I like to like liken it to like you experience the world in a different way. Like it's the same world, right? But like this is another thing is like that I've been really fascinated by as well, is that like the whole world, like even like if I'm assuming you're sober, I'm probably I smoked a little weed,
I'm
but
so.
but like the whole world as all of us see it is just like we're all hallucinating, but like we have a really good hallucination because that's what like because the world exists and then we're organisms that have like sensory things, but like obviously our sensory things look right to us because we're part of that organism, right?
Mhm.
So it's like, you know, the whole world is just, like, who's to say that your background's really green? Who's to say what green even is, right? And
Yeah.
so
We
when
just
you,
all agreed upon this
yeah,
certain world that's around us,
and we
and
all
we've
like
grown up in that.
experience
And
it in that way.
yeah,
We all have that shared human experience, right? And that's what I feel like psychedelics kind of like open you up to that kind of like, the human experience is the human experience. It's a unique experience, but it's not real. I mean, like, yes, I'm really in a room in a house. Like, I call it my bedroom, right? But it's like, if I die tomorrow, it's not my bedroom anymore, right? There's no real thing that really exists that makes this my bedroom. And the same thing with
mhm,
money, right? Like, what is
yeah,
like I can, like money, what the fuck is money, like, and that's the same thing with a lot of things is like, once you just realize that all the rest of the things besides like the basic things are just made up, right? But society like ingrains it in us that it's like we have to experience the world in this way, and it's like we have to like think of things in this way, and these are the normals, and like these kind of experiences really just like break you out of those habits, and you just realize that like there's so much out there that we are just so biased in favor of humans. Like we can't see it normally.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that's what I feel
It,
like there is all this energy around us at all times, and there's certain ways that we can access this energy, and usually it's just not there. You know what I mean?
yeah, and I think your description of the different dimensions is a good way to put it because my understanding is that I'm not sure if it's confirmed scientifically, but there's like theories that there's different dimensions, and
Absolutely.
I'm sure if these experiences if that does exist, may be a part of it. And again, all of this is based in. There's so much that we don't know scientifically about the world, about the universe, that it's not out of the question to think that these experiences are more than just in our minds. Especially because of how profound they are, like the kinds of things they can, it digs up in within yourself when you're having these experiences, the things that you think about, like old memories and that kind of stuff, and just the revelations you come upon. Like these are the kinds of experiences where you wouldn't be able to experience that any other way if it weren't for having that substance there. And I mean, then again, people have discussed meditation and yoga, and they're able to, like, doing enough of that intensely enough, they're able to have a similar sort of psychedelic experience
Yeah, like
through
I was mentioning,
meditation.
I did like lucid dream practices in 2020, and that was before I tried psychedelics. And I've been able to like create these kind of fascinating experiences in my head, because what I would do is I would meditate for like 15 minutes and then go to sleep with like that meditation brain, right? And then, and so like, but like it's not the same. Like I'm telling you, like I tried, like, I only did it for like 8 months, and I was at it like, usually every single day, and I know that there's people that do it for like decades. They're meditation masters, right? So I'm not trying to say that I mastered meditation or anything, but I mean, like, it is a completely different story. I mean, it really is. But then also, like, I want to present to you another fascinating big brain theory. So it's like, okay, so on the subject of like, accessing other experiences and like the universe, and there's so much we don't understand. How convenient is it, right, that the human brain has these chemical like receptors, right? And then that there's just this mysterious thing that grows that's always been there. It's been there longer than humans have. It's been there like around the same times as like the concept of the brain has, that just happens to have something that fits into that receptor perfectly to unlock such a mystical experience. I mean, I personally consider that pretty convenient, right? Like that, like if you're writing like an anime or something, and and you try to explain away all the details in like the final few chapters, and sometimes it feels ham-fisted. I mean, that's, it grows out of the ground, it plugs right into your brain, and then you access these things. And there's been like, I don't know how much you go into the history of this, but like a lot of indigenous populations would have like a lot of rituals around the mushroom and other substances, like that's the thing with the mushroom versus like ayahuasca and other things, is like those are like you need to like brew ayahuasca, right? Like you need to create it from something else. But with the mushroom, you could just pick it out of the ground and you're good to go. So there's like,
but even like the brewing aspect of ayahuasca, I found so fascinating. So when we were down there, we were, sort of given that whole like a bit of the history around it, and how the indigenous people found these plants, and somehow discovered that if you boil this certain root with this certain thing, that it creates this brew. Like, first of all, how do you think that up? Like,
right, exactly.
But they're in their stories, they're told that the plants told us to do this. Like they told us how to. So it's I mean, they were having these rituals for like thousands of years
exactly
before us. And so they have this deep knowledge that unfortunately in the Western world we've been very ignorant of, and or dismissive of, I should say. Like, we're talking about these like these rituals passing down from generation to a generation. We should be wanting to tap into that and understand that and talk more about that. But we sort of cast it aside as like, oh, those are that's the old way of thinking. They're these old cultures, whatever. But no, we should be tapping into what these people have been discussing and doing for hundreds of years.
I mean,
I don't know why we are so adverse to wanting to engage with that. It's like it's this weird, I don't know, not a fear, but it's just this ignorance, this dismissive nature that we have.
I would go a little bit
cultures.
further and say that I feel like these experiences have been integral to the evolution of humans. Like I feel like it's something that, like, again, it not to say that everyone should, like, and I'm not saying that at all, but it's like, if it's very interesting that, like, we have these societies, like especially in the West, where it's so atomized. Everyone hates each other. It's hyper competitive, right? No, like, even just like, like the idea that like someone can walk on the street and like try to, oh, don't look at the homeless people, like pretend they're not there, like the way that, like, imagine Like, and imagine, right? Like, there is someone suffering right next to you, and you just try to pretend they're not real. Because, like, I mean, and that could be in and of itself self-preservation, because you don't have the resources to help that person, right? So we're all feeling in these ways to, like, be against each other. And it's interesting that we are in the societies that haven't been doing these, ancient rituals that I feel like are integral to the human evolution. Because when you look at, like, the history of psychedelic mushrooms, they have always been here as long as humans have been here, right? And, like, they're in cave paintings from tens of thousands and thousands of years ago. Like, it's pretty clear that humans have been using these substances for a long time, right? Like,
Yeah.
and they've been, like, integral, and I think, on how, like, humans evolved, and how, like, some people, and again, this is big brain, like, there's no way to really know if this is true or not. Some people say that, like, the hyper evolution of the human brain versus other, like, species of primates is partially possibly related to certain things that could be including having access to these psychedelic experiences.
Yeah.
Right. We see that also, like, if you take it in moderate doses, it just improves your vision. Like, you just have better vision. Like,
Yeah.
moment.
I noticed that as well.
Yeah, like, where the whole world is super, like, I have, glasses.
More
My
vibrant.
vision's fucked
Like a more
up.
vibrant world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But, like, I remember sometimes I take my glasses off, and I can see, not as good as when I have my glasses on, but, like, I can see, like, decently well compared to normal without my glasses on. And so, like, it's also possible that these are integral experiences into human survival. Now, again, there's no way to know that. That kind of stuff. Yeah. But I mean, like, it's really fun to think about when you do drugs. It's just like, how did we get here? Because then also you think about, like, the continuous chains of, like, DNA and stuff, and how we're all, like, everything on Earth is connected in that sense. And again, I don't think in our lifetimes we'll ever really know, like, how deep that connection goes. I also don't know if it's even possible to qualify how deep that connection goes. It's so interesting that the Earth is made up of all these living beings, and it's like, I feel like the world can be, like, more connected in a way that humans are just trying to run away from. Like, we're, like, somehow
absolutely.
we've managed, like, we've lost our way. We're destroying the planet. We're, like, causing a sixth, like, massive extinction. Like, one of the extinctions was when an asteroid created, like, a lava field that destroyed the whole world. We're on par with that right now. Like, that's how bad things are.